Hello, and welcome to another edition of What a Week! Oh, my name is Mr. C, comedian, and I'm holding the fort for the beautiful, the gorgeous, the talented Terry Martin, who's not here at the moment, but she will be joining us shortly. And when I say joining us, of course, I'm talking about myself and the main man himself, Tony. Wagwan, Mr. Crossbody.
Yes, sir, Mr. C. What's happening, mate? What's happening? Where's our lovely Terry gone? Who's kidnapped her? Where's she gone?
Listen, you know what it happens, man. When you shine beautifully and black, you know that's what happens. You get taken. You get kidnapped. No, I think she's busy with her family at the moment, and yeah, man. Come on, you know she's a how can I put it? You know, like our women in our culture, Tony. They're multifaceted.
Right.
You know, they're not just sorry?
Multi-talented.
They wear so many hats and so many different hairstyles that we don't appreciate all the things that they do. So she's busy doing so many things, but she said that she will be joining us at around about 7 p.m. So, but anyway, Tony, how you been, man?
Oh, mate, I've been suffering under this heat, brother. You know, we've been complaining that it's too cold. And now, boy, we're really feeling it. So really, we should be complaining, but sleeping at night is very, very difficult, man.
Listen, I'm telling you, I don't like fans. I don't like air conditioning, but because of this heat, I've got a fan constantly on me, and I'm sleeping absolutely butt naked. Listen, I know what the term chilly willy means now, because I'd rather have that than this heat is unbelievably stifling. But you know what? Let's give thanks while it's here. Let's give thanks, man. So what do you get up to over the weekend, Tony?
You know, I just gate-crashed a couple of Zoom parties as usual when I'm bored. You know, just try and make the most of it. But the Zoom parties then was too hot, so I had to come outside. I wasn't even in the party, but the party looked hot, so I had to come outside and take a chill out. You know.
Well, one thing I'll say about those kind of Zoom parties, if they run out of ice, you've only got yourself to blame, innit? What do you mean you run out of ice? Oh, it's my own house.
The funny thing is, people are dancing, and you see they all got their rag, you know, it's like this.
Listen, hot, man, hot. At least you can't complain about overcrowding in any of those Zoom parties.
Yeah, but that's proper social distancing.
Yeah. Sorry, say that again.
How was your weekend?
Yeah, listen, I had a lovely weekend. I can't remember what I did on Saturdays. It's an absolute blur now. But Sunday, I went to Hyde Park with a group that we do a Zoom show on a Friday, like a coronavirus comedy. So a certain amount of us said that we're going to meet up at Hyde Park, Speaker's Corner, and we're gonna sit down and reason with each other. Social distance, of course, being observed. But the ladies, man, they cooked up lamb, chicken, beef, rice and peas, coleslaw, salad. They did rum cake, Madeira cake. Fruits, and all the man then brought drinks. So we had brandy, we had rum punch. Absolutely beautiful time at Hyde Park. And one thing I got to say, I wasn't expecting and I wasn't prepared for the invasion of wasps.
Right.
And you know what it was? When I saw them at first, I thought, oh, these wasps, man, they're all over people's. It wasn't the food they was after, you know, Tony. It was the rum punch, my brother. If you poured yourself, all of a sudden there was around about 5 or 6 wasps surrounding your cup. So in the end, what we had to do, we had to pour a little in a cup and put it in the middle of where we was, and just watch the wasps go to this one cup, drinking the rum punch, getting themselves lean and drowning the. I've never seen anything like it before in my life, man.
Wow.
Absolutely.
So those wasps were from where? From Harlesden?
Well, you know what? They look like they was bleaching.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, because it was when they take a sip of the rum punch, it does zoom.
Right. But you know, it's great that we can at least have this weather, because of course we're not going to have Notting Hill Carnival this year. I guess we're going to have some little underground sort of celebrations to commemorate it somehow. But at least we have the weather to sort of gather together, have these sort of events. You know, even if we hear no loud music, but nevertheless, you know, the weather is really helpful.
Well, I think we're definitely going to be having some overground events happening. I'm sure that there's going to be a couple people, because, you know, Carnival's been going on for how many years now, Tony?
55 years, I believe, this year.
55 years. And there's some people who have never missed one carnival. So for those diehards, I can't see them celebrating something as special as Carnival inside their own homes. I got a feeling that, you know, there's going to be a few little block parties. There's going to be a couple of men who are going to either get speakers out, put them outside their front yard in the Notting Hill vicinity area. There's going to be at least one person who, you know, has got speakers drum up in their van or whatever. And I've got a feeling that they're going to bring that carnival flavor to the streets. I got a feeling. I really got a feeling it's going to happen, man.
I think the following week we're probably going to have a lot to talk about on this particular show, aren't we?
Well, 100%, 100%. But listen, one news event that caught my eye over the weekend, of course, was the Labour MP Dawn Butler, who was went to meet up with one of her friends for a little Sunday brunch, and this is what happened.
And I am recording.
Yeah, no, that's fine. You're more than right to.
I am concerned about the reason for the stop. So that is that's what I'm concerned about. So because, you know, we should be able to drive wherever we want in London, because you're not just contained to the area where you live. No, of course. So that is my concern. So, like, if you're just profiling people who are driving outside their area, I think that's a ridiculous reason to stop. If you're profiling people who are driving a certain type of car, that's an inappropriate reason to stop. And if you're profiling people because of the colour of their skin, that's an inappropriate reason to stop people. Okay.
Wow. So there we have Dawn Butler, MP Dawn Butler. And you know what? Look, the story unfolds that they ran the license plates, but they did it incorrectly. So it came up with a vehicle which is registered up in North England somewhere, Lancaster or Lancashire or whatever it was. And that's the reason why they stopped it, because the car was registered out of London. What was your thoughts when you was watching that, Tony?
Well, you know, it's the first time I've seen a black person being stopped and the police can't get a word in.
Go on, Dawn.
Good say a word. Dawn was doing I thought Dawn was going to arrest him.
Yeah.
You know, oh boy. I mean, this is kind of escalated a little bit. It ended up being on Sky News, I believe, and I think the Prime Minister sort of made some comments on it. Because Dawn Butler said basically, look, this is just to confirm what has been said already about the police, that they're institutionally racist.
Yes.
And you know, when Boris Johnson was asked, well, what do you think about those comments? He said, well, nah, they're not actually. The police have basically explained themselves to Ms. Butler as to why they made the stop, and basically he just wanted to leave it there. But again, I mean, I was following this on social media, and I was watching some of the comments that were very interesting. Some people were trying to say, well, it wasn't racial profiling because the driver of the car was a white person, so how could there be racial profiling? But actually, the person was black. It was a black male that was actually driving that car. So that throws that argument out the window. But it just goes to show, look, I mean, an MP, you're an MP. I mean, you know, it's one of the sort of highest positions you can have in the country, right? And yet still you're not going to be immune from stop and search tactics by the police.
Yeah, I you know, and I think that's a very good point. It just goes to show that, you know, no matter how high we climb in the ranks of society, that they still see us a certain way. Now, one of the things what I loved about watching that was the fact that Dawn, you know, I think we can all take a leaf out of her book as regards to, you know, don't be a victim. You know, stand up for your rights, ask the right questions, and put the police in their place. But again, I think, you know, possibly would our women feel as safe to do that if they, you know, if they're not an MP, a prominent MP? Probably Dawn felt empowered that she could do that because of her rank and status in Parliament. But again, you know, a normal woman who's an accountant or who's running their own business, would they be as confident to have that discussion without next thing you know,
Right.
handcuffs, getting dragged out of the car.
Right.
You know, it would be interesting to see other women's experiences of being stopped and searched by the police. But again, if you want to join in the discussion, join in the debate, please send us your comments here. We'll read them out. This is not just for me and Tony to have a discussion, but it's also your platform as well. Tony, have you ever been stopped and searched by police?
Yeah, but it was a long time ago. Not in recent years. But
Okay.
I think the point you just made there about knowing your rights, I think, is a very important thing. I think we should really, I mean, as a people, I think we should, and especially the males, should have get a crash course in knowing what your rights are when you're being stopped. Because if policemen know that you know your rights, they know that there's certain things they can't do. They actually rely upon your ignorance. That's the thing.
True.
And what it means is that whatever they do, they can, you won't question it, and therefore you can't put in a complaint because you don't know what the law is.
Yeah.
And I think as a people generally, and as we're going to see today, even our women folk are not immune, from police inquiries into their business and even manhandling them. We had that case, didn't we, a few weeks ago, wasn't it, with the British athlete? Do you remember when?
Yeah, of course.
She was with her partner in the car, and she was pulled out of the car, and all this.
And the child was in the back, as well.
The child was in the back. So, it's in America, for example, parents have what's called the talk with their kids, right? In other words, look, when you go out there, you're going to meet the police. This is how you're to approach it, right? And and you need to sort of take these measures. And I think we need to have that sort of same policy ourselves. We need to sort of understand at least the basic elements of the law, what questions you are obliged to answer, what questions you're not obliged, and to know whether the policemen are actually following policy. Because only that way you have some form of protection. But I agree with you also when you said that, well, the fact that Dawn is an MP goes in the fact, I think it does help. I mean, the fact of the matter is that, with her status comes certain connections, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then in saying that, did the police know that she was an MP? Probably not.
Well, probably not, because probably it wasn't her car and she wasn't the driver, so her name wouldn't have come up. And again, it beggars belief to see whether they would actually recognize her as well.
Right.
Right. So, but it brings me on to say that there was a program which I watched last week called The Talk, which was again, like you mentioned, the USA version of what parents are having to do with their children. And this was a program, I can't remember what channel it was. I think it was BBC, where they was actually interviewing famous black celebrities in the UK, and them talking about did their parents have the talk with them as regards to, as a black person in this country, these are the things that you need to know. These are the things what you need to do. And these are things what might happen to you. So therefore you need to be prepared. And it was quite interesting to see the differences of approaches from different parents and the actual experiences, what they had. But I think the thing that I loved in there means they had various other celebrities. Some of them I don't even know who they are, to be honest with you, because I really watch TV. But one guy, Lenny James, stood out for me, and his experience. And he spoke about when he went to Antigua. He said, like, being here in the UK, having the talk from his parents, the experiences that he had as a young black male in this country, he started to form an armor around him to protect him from this institutionalized racism, covert and overt racism. And he said he built up an armor around him. And what had happened was he went to Antigua, and he said when the first time he went to Antigua, he saw, like, politicians, doctors, lawyers, the same color as him. He said he felt like he could fully relax and for the first time just be him. And he said it was a wonderful experience. And he said what he didn't realize about this armor that he was wearing before, he didn't realize that when he got on the plane and he was coming back to England, how he just started to feel, all of a sudden, he just felt all of this tension start rising up in his body. And he just didn't, and he said he just felt he now had to put back on this armor on him as a man to prepare him for what is coming back, and it was so touching the way how he explained it. You've got to watch that. It's called The Talk, and definitely look out for what Lenny James was saying, man.
It's funny you say that, because I remember when I was about 14, 15, and this was back in the time of the Brixton riots, and you know, the stop and search sus laws in its original version, where many of us would be pulled over and thrown into the back of what they used to call the SPG.
Yeah, or the Black Mariah back in the day. Wow.
Yeah, and get a wet blanket. When you put a wet blanket, wrap in a wet blanket, and beat you.
Oh my gosh, the good old days, eh?
The good old days. And I remember specifically getting some hard talks about being on the street at night, right? And being careful of your company, right? And what is likely to happen if you meet up with a police officer, right? So this is nothing new, and I'm sure that there's a lot of people out there who've had a very similar experience, and it goes to show, you know, the point that you just made so eloquently, which was that despite the fact that a person like Dawn could be a person of status and influence in society, the fact that you're black is actually meaningless, right? It's meaningless. It's like saying, okay, you know, I'm gonna be a millionaire, billionaire, and when I'm a billionaire, I'm gonna do this. No, but hold on, you're black in this society. So none of your achievements actually count for anything. You're still going to be treated the very same way as ordinary people, your color.
Yeah, man. And I think this is where we're at in 2020, in August 2020, where, you know, the whole Black Lives Matters movement has gained so much traction, because it's you know, as the song says, it's been a long time coming. It's been a long time coming, and even though there are still fractions of society that still think that this is something that black people have woken up with, and because we ate too much patty the night before, this is a symptom that we've got from overeating hard food. That this whole thing, what we're talking about and marching and protesting about, doesn't really exist. Again, sorry, Anne-Marie was just saying the talk it's all guidance for our young people. Very much so. Thank you very much for Anne-Marie. And it's almost like, you know, there are still fractions of society that see us as nothing. And, you know, even to the state where last week, one of the main media outlets, BBC Television, during the morning, decided that they would do a news report as regards to a racist incident and have the reporter use the N-word.
What?
Yeah. And then when questioned about their use of the N-word at such an early time in the morning, the BBC's response was that the family in question who had been racially abused and attacked, the family wanted the word to be used. They then went to say that they had an independent meeting at senior level at the BBC as regards to whether they should still use that word, and they decided it was okay to use the word, and they were non-apologetic about it. However, there was one gentleman who actually works for the BBC Radio 1 Extra, by the name of Sideman, and this is his response to what had gone on.
I've thought long and hard about what I'm about to say and what it means, and on this occasion I just don't think that I can look the other way. We live in a world that needs to change, systems that need to change, organizations that need to change. And as a person that believes that change can happen and wanting change to happen, I understand transition. I understand it's not something that's going to happen overnight, that there will need to be a lot of learning and unlearning and tearing down of certain building blocks of our society that took a long time to build up. So I'm okay with process. I'm okay with waiting within reason for certain things to change. But the BBC sanctioning the N-word being said on national television by a white person is something that I can't rock with. This is an error in judgment where I can't just smile with you through the process and act like everything is okay. I'm happy working with organizations until we all get it right, but this feels like more than getting it wrong. The action and the defense of the action feels like a slap in the face of our community. That's why, effective immediately, I'm leaving my job as a radio broadcaster for BBC 1 Extra. With no apology, I just don't feel comfortable being aligned with the organization. I've loved my time there. I've got to work with some amazing people and made some lifelong friends and had great opportunities. But money and opportunity doesn't outweigh the dissatisfaction that I feel with this situation. This is wild to me, especially in the current social climate, and I can't make any sense of it no matter how much I think about it. So I think it's time that I left.
Wow.
You know, and we have people.
What an amazing man.
Come on.
What an amazing man.
We have people saying that our young people are this and are that, but look, you know.
Yeah. And so well, so eloquently put. I mean, the thing about it is, you know what I was thinking watching him sort of taking a stand is, well, what are the other black presenters or you know, what are they doing? All right, maybe you don't want to take that step of leaving the station, but to speak up. Now, what that man did is fantastic, and at the expense of a career which he probably spent all his life wanting to get into, meeting all the celebrities that he has, all the contacts, to then jump off of that for principle. Oh man, listen.
And
brother,
no apology.
You're going to be rewarded in the future for your actions on behalf of your.
Definitely. You know what? The way I look at it, he did such a big movement there for black people that he's supposed to go into any black establishment and not pay for anything he wants. Whether it be a patty, whether it be whatever it be, beginning with P, he's not supposed to pay for it ever again. Yeah, he absolutely put his culture before his career. And you know, as you said, Tony, it'll be interesting to see what other BBC staff of black culture or black origins were actually thinking, or what actions were you thinking of doing next? Because you know, Sideman, he set the level, he set the bar, man.
Yeah.
You know?
And the irony of it, you see, I mean, our Sideman is well known, but now he's going to be far more well known than actually if he stayed in the BBC for what he's done. What he has done, you know, is what you speak of. You know, when you speak of in terms of the great resistors in Black history, like your Garveys and like your Malcolm X's, people who actually made sacrifices because they weren't prepared to tolerate that kind of treatment. So it'll be, as you said, it'll be interesting to see what his other black colleagues think, what they do, whether they're going to petition the BBC or whatever. I want to believe that they're going to take something out of this. But you know, a lot of times, historically too, with our people, oftentimes, you know, there's too much advantage in making it. You know, and some of these slights and insults, we'll brush it off for position, for status. You know what I mean?
Well, what I found interesting was that literally must have been a day or 2 days after that, the BBC have now come out with a full apology. Now, do we say that Sideman's resignation prompted them to have a look at that? Because again, if they had a full black exodus, what would that have said to the BBC? Anne-Marie says the BBC should broadcast his views and decision. Shame on the BBC, especially in this climate of hopeful change. Definitely. Jiddy says, what if he spoke up whilst remaining in position? What could the BBC have done given the issue was such high profile? I think both equally good points, but again, I like the fact that he resigned. I like the fact that he said that I don't want to be associated with this particular situation and this particular behavior, which he reminds me of the greats. He reminds me of like Benjamin Zephaniah refusing to accept his MBE or OBE or whatever it was at the time because of the connotations of British Empire.
Right.
The fact that his people had been enslaved or treated unfairly because of this empire and what it stood for. So therefore, I don't want to have any association with it. And he reminded me of Muhammad Ali not doing the Vietnam draft because he was saying these Vietnamese people have never, ever called me the N word. So why should I go and fight them when I'm catching hell here in America? And with that, let's please welcome the wonderful Terry Martin, ladies and gentlemen.
Sorry, guys, but I'm here now. That's the main thing. I'm here. I have been listening on my travels as well. I listened in, so I know what I've missed already. But yeah, I'm totally in on this conversation. I mean,
so what did you think when you saw that? First of all, when you saw what the BBC had done as regards to the broadcaster, news reporter, I should say, actually saying the word daytime TV, saying the word in full, and then their response afterwards, defending that.
Honestly, I haven't watched it till this day. I saw the backlash before I even knew about the broadcast of it, and then I read a lot about what had happened and the fact that they hadn't said sorry. I haven't gone and watched it yet, but when I saw that Sideman Daily had taken that stance, I reposted it straight away because I thought, wow, what an inspiration. But afterwards, thinking about it, I'm thinking there must be more to this, I believe. Like, do you think it couldn't be this one incident that would make him give up his whole job? That's a whole lifeline of money and everything. You know, we've got to look at it from practical reasons as well. He's got bills to pay. It opens other doors of opportunity for him. I'm thinking there's got to be other levels to this which made him believe enough is enough.
And you know what? You took that thought out of my mind as before you even went to it, and I thought to myself, I wonder what other infractions he witnessed while being there. And he could have decided for himself, you know what, my time here is limited. Basically, this is not going to stop, right? And sometimes too, it can be added with, you know, he could probably see even in terms of his own career progression, how perhaps he was stunted from moving right into certain positions because of who he, you know, because of his skin. So we don't know, but you know, it's still a big move, regardless. I mean, even if there were things building up to this, and to make the BBC as an employer, you know, it's a major employer, and it's major kudos to work for them. So if you make that sort of decision, even if you've got something else to go to, the profile you're going to have now is unlikely to be on the scope of the BBC, and that's the point of what this sacrifice is.
Yeah,
it's saying, look, I'm standing up for this principle. I know this organization, they've shown a pattern of behavior that I can't live with, and I need to go elsewhere and let people know.
And sorry, go on, Terry.
I was going to say on that hand, do you think it could have been more? Well, we don't know the history, like we're saying, if there was other things also. But do you think it could have been more effective for him to stay inside the BBC to promote change? Because he seems to be quite a, forward-speaking guy. Could he have done better by staying and promoting change rather than coming out?
Well, that's a very good question. I think, you know, sometimes, you know what, my mother has a phrase which she always used to say to me. She said, "Nobody go where nobody wants you." If people don't want you, if they're not welcoming to you, nobody go. Don't find yourself a people also don't want you. And he looked at their behavior, and his behavior told him everything that he needed to know. And it was like, I don't need to be working, because again, that whole thing of coming into work and hi, oh, how was your day?
That fake.
Yeah. So it's like, you know, he didn't want to conform to that, and a lot of us have to conform to so-called behavior, just so that we can pay bills at the end of the month. And I mean, I think that's one of the beautiful things of like being in a job like myself, where I'm self-employed, where I don't have to conform to that anymore. But there were times where I worked in organizations where the behavior was just like, can you not see what you're doing? And you know, you go in and have these daily battles over and over, and then next thing you know, you get tagged with a label of being aggressive, being a troublemaker, the uppity. Well, and you think to yourself, all I want to do is I just want to be able to do what a normal person does, which is come in and do the job to the best of my ability, get paid, and go home.
But the reality is, Mr. C, is that, you know, I come back to this point I make again, is that in our own eyes, we're as good as normal as everybody else. But the reality is that we are captives in a country where we are repeatedly treated like this. When we go into the workplace, right, we have to deal with daily microaggressions. Let me touch your hair. You know, you've got a chip on your shoulder, right? All sorts of insensitive comments that we have to live with on a daily basis. And it's never a question of when is it going to stop, but rather when's the next one going to be? When's the next infraction?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And that often is the problem. And obviously someone like Sideman, who's been working in that industry for so many years, has seen so much of it, you see? And I would say, for example, to black men, particularly young black men, is that when you're talking about career, if you're going to work for corporations, do it for a short time. Learn that trade, learn that job, and then break out on your own. Because once you're inside the confines of a corporation, you're going to find yourself, and our sisters too, doing a lot of compromising. You're going to have to hear a lot of degrading talk, right? Indirect talk about black people and whatever. And you're going to have to decide for yourself, well, I'm depending on this monthly money. I can't speak up, otherwise I'm going to lose my job and I can't pay my mortgage.
Yeah.
Yeah, go on.
And you know what? I think one of the things what we have to really touch on as well with is the nature and the tonality and the calmness of Sideman in his delivery. You know, a lot of people would have, you know, for ourselves as people of color, as black people, when these things are done to us, we feel the pain and the anger of so many years of it happening. So, you know, it's like, I'm working in this kind of so that comes across more, but the calmness and the control of how he delivered that showed me, and I think it showed everybody, that, you know, I am in control of my own destiny. I choose now to remove myself from your behavior. And I go not with any fear or any worries or any pain or anger. I don't even need to give you a reason why or any apology, but this is not acceptable to me. And I just absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it. It was one of the most poetical things I've seen this year.
And Jide makes a very interesting point. She says that as a community, we should have a strategy for dealing with these types of things, whereby, you know, we have to have a campaign to react against all of these organizations that basically do this in somehow in some way. And you know, other communities do, because of course, whenever you talk about, for example, the Jews anyway, or where it's like, they always have their spokesman out on the news telling people how anti-Semitic this is and how this is unacceptable. But we don't seem to have that. We don't seem to have a strategic campaign of dealing with these infractions.
Well, I think, you know what, in the times that we're living in now, this is the time for us to get together and form some kind of strategic alliance and partnership and think tank on how we're going to deal with this.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, my only slight thing is maybe he could have done that, because I just feel like he's such a leader, and he seems like a character who's definitely a leader. And I think if he'd stayed in, maybe he could have drawn the right people together in order to ensure that, you know, things like this don't happen again. Not saying it needs to be all on his shoulders, but I think someone so forward thinking like him would have been useful on the inside for those up and coming.
Well, also, there's been a call now for people to say that he needs to change his name from Sideman to Main Man.
Absolutely.
Because he is the man. No longer Side.
Absolutely.
As you said, the leader. Definitely leader.
Very much an inspirational guy. Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, that brings us on to our next talking point, Tony, Terry, that, of course, you know, the way how they see us and the way how they treat us always seems to be different from our point of view. Here's our next story. It follows a lady going to a jewelry shop as regards to a particular item she's bought, and all she's requesting is for a refund. And this is what followed.
I want my mother!
Why is she being arrested?
I don't know yet, I've just arrived.
Okay.
Do you know her?
No.
Can you just get her onto the side so she can breathe properly, please?
Yeah.
Thank you. You just do me a favour, no issues recording, you can just step back and just let her know.
Can you just cover her legs?
And they're treating me like this! You are all treating me like this! All I can find is a bloody refund! And you're doing this to me! All I I did was wake up and work refund. And that's it. I just got refused to give me a refund. He refused to give me a refund. I just did not listen to me. Is this fair? Is this fair? I'm just gonna stay here. I don't want to move. You guys put me here. I was standing. You put me on the floor because you listened to the white man. He didn't listen to me. So I would take as it is. You guys don't listen to me. I only wanted a refund, and I came for a refund. He broke the thing in front of me. I said, it's not my fault. It's not his fault.
Why is like everything? I just don't like that our bodies are showing. Why should we be arrested?
I didn't break it. It dropped on the floor and cracked.
I don't like that she's all being shown.
Yeah. I was gonna get my phone out, but if you've got it.
Go on here, do not crack. And then he
maybe record it as well because they will listen to you more because you're right.
It's solid, but my gold is not solid. It's bent and broken because he's handled it. I want my money back. That's all I want. I know my customer rights, and that's what I get to exercise.
So she's being arrested.
That's all I
She get a refund.
I didn't even damage anything. Why you said I can give me jewelry damage?
Yeah,
I didn't damage anything. I didn't damage anything. There's nothing smashed. It's plastic. There's plastic does not smash. Plastic does not smash. Plastic does not smash. Don't forget that. It's plastic. Plastic does not smash.
It's really interesting that they've got so many police for a small woman. Every day in black.
Wow, so there we have it. All she wanted was a refund, 6 police officers, a countless amount of police vehicles, and she's on the floor, handcuffed. Terry, as a woman watching that, what goes through your mind?
I was absolutely appalled, shocked, disappointed. The lady looks like an older lady, like, I don't know, she could be someone's mom, definitely or someone's auntie. You know, when the officer said, do you know this lady? I think I would have just lied and said yes, because I mean, she had a little skirt on, and exactly what the woman was saying. I'm just thinking, she's got a little skirt on. You don't have her on the floor for what? Like lying down like that. They could have at least stood her up or let her. I just don't get it. How they can just come and be arresting someone like that. I always feel sometimes with these videos and stories, I need to be careful because there's obviously something that leads up to it and something that happens after it, no doubt. Because if we just take it in the context of she wanted a refund, next minute she's on the floor being arrested, there's got to be some lead up, no? Or is this the society we're living in now where you can just be on the ground arrested for a refund? Because she looked like she was selling drugs, was it? I don't know. I had a little read.
I think they said that the storekeeper said that they suspected her of being on drugs. However, I see no evidence of that.
Yeah, and that's a reason to be arrested because you're on drugs. I'm absolutely this one. I'm quite speechless, to be honest. I'm quite speechless.
Well, even watching that, Tony, what was your thoughts?
Well, you know, I'm glad she was given the narrative while she was on the floor. I mean, that was such a forward-thinking thing to do, so that anybody watching that video could actually see the reasons. A lot of people would probably be inclined to stay quiet or just try and resist or whatever. No, she's actually telling everyone the story of why she found herself in that position. So that was a good thing. Did you hear the sister who was actually filming it, and she must have been talking to a white woman? She said, "Oh, you filmed it. They will listen to you because you're white." I mean, it's just that, you know, the fact we have to say is that we smile because we know it's true, but it's so sad.
Yeah,
it's so
absolutely,
sad
man.
that, you know, look, you white lady, you go and talk to them and try and see if you can help our sister out because we're not gonna make no progress with this. And you watch these things, and I just wonder whether or not, you know, within the police training school, where there's another secret room that they have, in fact, in how you actually deal with black people. It's like, it looks like that to me, like, okay, this is how you deal with the general public, and go through that room there, and that's a special room, how you deal with blacks.
Yeah. I mean,
and this is how you deal with them. They're a special case, and we deal with them like this.
Anne-Marie says the news that followed was that this lady is an NHS nurse who requested a refund from the store. So she again, so You know, there's no way that she's on drugs, because she's an NHS nurse. That, you know, I'm sure they have tested. There's no way she would be able to do her job if she was out of her face on any type of drugs at all. She didn't know. And I think the thing what I found really funny there was when the person who was filming said to the police officer, "What's she been arrested for?" And he said, "Oh, I don't know what she's been arrested for."
I've just arrived.
Paulette Grant says, "I'm not happy to be a bystander, which I feel many of us often do." Yes, Sister B, you're right. And you know, like, I'm watching it and I'm thinking to myself, what would I do if I was standing there?
Yeah, very good question.
What I want to do, right? I know what I'd want to do, but what would I do? And you're so powerless. All you got is a camera in your hand. Yeah. I saw a similar thing that happened in America. I think it was last week. And they had this brother in a chokehold, and the guy was dying, and the sister who was filming said, "Don't worry, we got it on film." And I'm thinking about, yeah, but
that's not going to save my life.
Exactly, that's the brother's life, man. And we have to sit down and watch.
But don't you think over here in the UK, the police officers are more cautious, and especially if you bring out a phone, it could help with their behaviour? I'm just throwing it out there. Does help with their behaviour a little bit if they know they're being recorded.
Well, I mean, when I look at that last video, did they try and cover the lady up? Did they address any of the concerns? Did the officer try and find out why is she being arrested? Did you hear any of the officers saying the reason why you're being arrested is because did she look like she was violent or anything at all? Did she look like she's resisting arrest? None of these things. So, even what you're saying, Terry, why was she on the floor for so long? The only time, in my experience, the only time police officers would put handcuffs on somebody is if you thought there was a chance of them fleeing. If you think that they've got something on them which is dangerous, if they're a threat to the general public, they're a threat to yourself. But looking at that woman and listening to her and watching her body language, I didn't see her posing any of those threats. So, I think what we need to do is we need to try and get some kind of legal training, or somebody who's a specialist in the legal system, to say, for us as bystanders, what can we say to the police to try and empower them to do the right thing? Therefore, like, officer, you do realize that you are violating section XYZ of this person's human rights, blah, blah, blah. If you continue, now that I've warned you, you cannot say that you didn't know, because ignorance is no under the section of the law, blah, blah, blah.
And this is to be done on camera, by the way.
Yes.
Your word against theirs.
Right.
Because one of the things what I've noticed in my experience with police, and oh gosh, I'll try and keep this as brief as possible, that once you start understanding certain things about the law and then you question police officers, they now start questioning what they think and what they know about the law. So, law is all about contracts. So when police are saying to you, blah, 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 do you understand? As soon as you say you don't understand, they have no power over you. If a police says they're arresting you for section such and such, say, I don't understand that law. Show it to me. Show me that law. Or you can say to them, I don't think that's right. Show me the law. Because what we mustn't accept is that police know the law. They don't.
Yeah.
They don't. So if you're not sure what the police officer's doing, question them and say to them, if you're not sure, go and speak to your sergeant or somebody above you who is sure, because I don't think what you're doing is right. I don't think what you're saying is correct.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. We mentioned that earlier, didn't we? That about knowing the law, even sort of the basic rights of a person who's been stopped and apprehended. We should know that, and
so it's as individuals really to educate ourselves.
Right. To empower ourselves, and like as you said, I mean, you can speak to the officer and say, for example, in a situation that this looks very excessive. The lady's explaining that she's basically come back to it, and yet you're using excessive force.
Yes.
For what purpose?
Yeah.
I didn't the officers say, let's put her on her side so she can breathe properly. Did you hear
but
that?
she shouldn't even be on the floor.
Yeah.
She shouldn't be in handcuffs. If there's any questions, then one officer and a backup female officer would suffice. Sitting
in the back of the police car would have been enough. Sitting her in the car, police car,
Well, yeah, even for what thing. So you have the woman there, you have the shopkeeper there, and then you have a discussion about what took place.
I love this from Paul is saying, you be on the floor too. I think it's about all of us making a stand. They can't fling all of us on the floor.
It's true. I mean, and when you get arrested, isn't that something that stays on you if you get arrested, even if you don't get charged?
Yeah, it's probably a caution. They're probably some sort of caution or something. Court, they charge you with resisting arrest. This is where they go.
Yeah, or interfering with which is again is an arrestable offence.
Yeah,
interfering with
and that is a problem. When we can speak from emotion, say, yeah, I would have thumped up all them officers and beat them all up and rescued the system, and broke her for handcuff and take her. Right, that's great. Don't get me wrong. We all want to do that, but the reality is the ramification. What you want to do is rescue the system without getting yourself.
This is it.
The chokehold, right?
Well,
that's the problem. We all know how we feel about what we want to do, but the question is, how do you do that effectively, right? Yeah. And represent the sister and stop her from getting hurt.
Well, I think one of the things I've over the years that I've tried to explore is the fact that the narrative. You will hear this narrative that nobody is above the law. That so therefore, if a police officer is breaking the law, therefore now you're not protected by the law. You now become like everybody else. So I think it is that we have to try and examine that narrative that when we see police officers 100% doing things which are illegal or going against the law, that we somehow make them accountable for that. And by using the correct terms to bring them under the law that they're supposed to serve. So, and I think that this hasn't been done. And again, I think even when police do wrong, that they're still charged as police officers. And I think they need to be charged as individuals so that, that people can sue that individual person, not really the police force, sue the person.
I agree on that.
Yeah, but I think at a very basic level, all of us should have a basic understanding of our interaction with the police, what they're allowed to do or say, and what we can allow and what we can resist. And I think because most of the time we go through this blind, we only realize when our head hits the floor that something's gone wrong. And so what we need to do is learn ourselves, do the research, share it with one another, and especially share it with our children, our young teenagers.
Yeah.
So that they are prepared when they meet. Because often when you meet with a policeman, you don't know the law and you don't know what they're going to do. You're now playing a guessing game.
Yeah, definitely.
And which side does the policeman fall off the bed today? Yeah? And what are his biases?
Yeah.
Does he have a black girlfriend or not? Right?
Yeah.
Was he bullied at school or not?
Was he bullied at school? Did the black man rob him when he was young?
Yeah. We have to take on the whole history.
Right.
Yeah.
So they come with their biases, right?
Yeah.
And so that collective bias now is going to be meted out onto you, male or female, right? I mean, we've seen film of 11-year-olds in America being slammed to the ground and treated as if they were adults, So I think it's imperative that knowledge for arming ourselves with just the basics to start with.
Yeah, definitely, man.
And share that with friends and colleagues.
But listen, our final story, what we want to cover today is again about the law. And this time it seems like there's been a change in the law. Tony, I think you've got all the details on this as regards to our dreadlocks story from last week.
Yes.
Bonfire upon Babylon. I heard that the Jamaican High Commissioner was watching our program last week.
Yeah, I think
and he saw your locks, Terry, and he thought, how not. So, Tony, what's the update? What have you got for us?
So basically, last week we discussed the idea that the High Court in Jamaica upheld a ruling which banned a 7-year-old Rastafarian girl from going to school because of her dreadlocks, citing lice and any unkept hair, and obviously that caused an uproar in Jamaica. Many of the leading celebrities in Jamaica, Buju Banton, Muta Baruka, and various other reggae stars were jumping up.
Brothers.
Yeah, and saying, basically, what kind of nonsense is this? And even the Prime Minister, Andrew Holness, got involved in the conversation basically saying, well, we need to update this law because, you know, it's basically outdated. But the interesting thing is, it's not the law that was changed. It was that this girl was allowed to go back to the school.
Fantastic.
So the law has not been changed in Jamaica. She was just she's allowed to start the new term in September within the school. But from what I understand, the parents are still trying to are fighting the law to get the law changed, obviously for other Rastafarians and their children to be able to attend school.
Yeah.
To me, and you know why, you know, I mean, it was pretty much, you know, Bob Marley who single-handedly put Jamaica literally on the map in the last 40 years, right? The Jamaican Tourist Board were happy to use icons of Rastafarians as peace, love, one love, come to our island, enjoy, you know, the Rastafarians come to coconut, the Rasta on the beach. And yet all this time, right, Rastafarians have been in Jamaica at least since for nearly 100 years. And you have this outdated colonial law saying that Rasta children can't go to school. That tells you exactly who these governments of the Caribbean are really working for.
Yeah, definitely, man.
I mean, if they've let that one child go back, surely that means, you know, all the others can go to school too, because they can't do work for one and not the others, surely.
Well,
this was her specific case, though. They were arguing over her specific case. So the court made a ruling. The court did not go back on what they said. The school then intervened because basically the school got so much fire from them, like from all the dreadlocks in Jamaica, all the entertainers, that the school felt the heat and said, okay, she can come back to school in September. But the law is still in place.
Yeah.
Well, look, we're just going to wrap things up now. I stumbled across a clip on YouTube. And you know when you're flipping through things and you see something, you say, "Oh, I'm going to come back to it," and for the love of me, I can't find it again. However, it was a debate between a black presenter, Ronald Martin. Ronald, are you aware of him, Tony?
Yeah, Ronald. Yeah.
And he was interviewing Ice Cube.
Right. Yes.
And Ice Cube and some of his peers have come up with this thing called the black contract, it seems. Now I'm still trying to find it, so please, this is a homework, everybody. Your homework. find Ice Cube and Ronald Martin's The Black Contract. And it got me thinking, because many years ago I had a comedy routine where I spoke about when we're born as black children, we're given this thing called the Book of Black. And this book tells us the things we can and can't do as black people. And even though it was a joke, I think that there's some truth in this. And just this Ice Cube Black Contract kind of made me think that, should we now have the 10 Commandments of black? And if you was to have the 10 Commandments of black, in closing, what would one of your commandments be, Tony? The Black Commandment.
Thou shalt not be motivated by self-interest.
Thou shalt not be motivated by selfish interests. Terry, you're muted at the moment, darling. You're muted at the moment.
Oh, sorry, it's because there was a bit of noise outside, and I was like, "Shut the door!" I didn't want to. Mine would be, your hair is your crown, and you can wear it anywhere you want. Love
that. Your hair is your crown, and you can wear it well, it's a bit late for me, no. My chin is my crown now.
It is your crown as well. Yeah. Your facial hair is your crown.
Yeah, I think for me, I think again, it's one which is in the Bible itself, but again, it reminded me, and it's a funny analogy to use from Planet of the Apes, where they say, "Ape shall not kill ape." And I think if we go back to this, you know, blacks should never kill blacks. Mm-hmm. You know, that's your brother, that's your sister, that's your auntie, that's your uncle. And I think if we can go back to incorporating that, then, you know, yeah, there's going to be some beautifulness for us to shine. So listen, wow. Once again, we've kind of, don't be a sellout, says Paulette. Yes. Don't be a sellout.
Paulette has been the MVP for the interaction on this episode.
100%. Lady Grant,
Yes.
Lady Grant of Blacknesses, we thank you.
Your input.
Yeah. And Terry, I do believe you've got some great news for us. Or is it public yet, or?
Oh, kind of, not really, but it doesn't matter. It's good and bad news, because it's good news because I've been offered another job, but it's bad news because it will clash with this today. So I won't be on as of next week. But I'm not saying I won't be back again. But as of next week, for a few weeks, I won't be able to do What a Week with you guys. So it's good news, but it's sad news, because I love coming to do this show and interacting with all the listeners and everybody. It's been such a lovely time. But I'm not saying goodbye forever. I'm just saying see you in a bit, really.
Okay, good. And you know what we can say to you, Terry, that What a Week is your home.
Aww.
Whether you're near or far, here or not, it is always a place where we will always remember you with nothing but warmth and love. I know, Tony, you've got a last few words what you want to say about Terry.
Oh, sorry. I was going to make me cry.
Terry is sunshine to this show, isn't it? She's sunshine. And wherever she goes, she carries the sunshine with her. And it will be a little bit cloudy until she comes back again. So
100%.
we really wish you the best. You know, wherever you go, when you get big time, don't forget us down here, the little people. Yeah,
100%, man. We're coming on your show. Me and Tony.
Get you sacked from your show. Or BBC Extra, whatever.
BBC Extra.
Yeah, we're gonna bring the real blackness to your show. Blackness.
Honestly, watch this space. You never know. So, thank you. Congratulations, everybody. And
so Terry, we're gonna allow you to sign out as you always do, from show 1 until sundown.
First of all, I'm sweating like a beast here, guys. I don't know if you can see it dripping and everything, but thank you so much, everybody, for watching What a Week with all three of us. I am taking a small break, but I hope to be back with you guys. But until then, I hope that you go home, do your research on what Mr. C said, which was to look up, what's his name, Ronald Martin?
Ronald Martin, Ice Cube, The Black Contract.
The Black Contract. And also, let's educate ourselves on our rights and what we can do as a bystander should we see one of our brothers or sisters being reprimanded or being mistreated in the wrong way. We need to do our research and not just be complaining, but be taking action. So that's the homework. And until I come back, please take care and make sure you tune in next week, because I'm sure whoever's coming in to replace me, it's going to be a vibe all the same. And I will be watching, and you never know, you might see me in the comments, guys. So
keep them peeled.
But until then, that's bye from me. I'm Terry Martin, Mr. C.
Big up, everybody.
Tony Crossbody. Until next time.